Good morning, people. Welcome to Friday. It's Remembrance Day, and it's windy as fuck out there. I was hoping I'd wake up this morning and it would stop being windy, but it hasn't, so you've got to get on with it. But it's Friday, so it's the films I watched this week, and I finished watching the Bond films. I watched Man with the Golden Gun, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, both 7s, Spectre got an 8, Die Another Day, and that's it. Good Die Another Day 7. That's my unexpected watching of all the Bond films again. So, what else did I watch? I watched Anzio, Operation Shingle, the Allies' seaborne assault of Anzio. Robert Mitchum's a war correspondent who goes along. A very good film. I've seen it once before. I like it. Tense at times. And just a fine war film. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Then, that's from 1968. From 1932, A Farewell to Arms. Gary Cooper works on an ambulance in World War One, and he falls in love with a nurse, and it's their story. Nothing wrong with it. I could watch that again. A fine film. Nothing wrong with it. A 6. It's not amazing, but it's solid enough. Then, Paths of Glory. In the French front lines of World War One, after giving the order for an impossible and disastrous mission to capture a nearby stronghold, which is the Anthill, the upper ranks, which is one general in particular, moves to save face by having 3 randomly selected soldiers from that unit held and tried for cowardice. But Kirk Douglas, who was a former lawyer, decides to stick up for them, handle them, and try and get them off. The French general is a prick. I don't like him one bit, but a very good film. See, when I watched this first time a couple of years ago, I thought it was going to be like a 3-hour masterpiece epicness. And then when it clocked in at under an hour and a half, I thought, oh, am I watching the right film? But it packs a lot in for just under an hour and a half, but a very good film. All great acting all the way along, and I give it a 9. You heard right, people. 1957, a 9. Now we head to 1952 and a film called Scandal Sheet. I can't really say much about this one, but it's all about there's a murder, and the newspaper people are looking into it. And that's all I can say. The poster might give it away, but it might not. But all posters look like that, so I don't know. It's worth a watch. 1952, give it a 7. I really, really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed this one from 1948, Roadhouse. 2 friends, they own a roadhouse. I think one owns it. Richard Widmark owns it, and his friend manages it. They get along well. It's got a bowling alley. It's got a bar. Then they hire, or one of them hires a new singer, Ida Lupino, and then a wedge through the middle of them, and things start to happen. Very good. Got better as it went along. I'll give that one a 7 as well. Now this one I watched for Barbara Stanwyck. It's called A Banjo on My Knee, 1936. It's got Barbara Stanwyck and Walter Brennan. I would say a young Walter Brennan, but I think Walter Brennan's always been old. He's got hair, and I don't think I'd have known him had he not have spoke, but he's got a very distinctive voice, has he not? But it starts off, they're river folk. They live on boats on the river. They play music, they dance, they sing. But Barbara Stanwyck's getting married to this guy, and this guy, believing he's killed a guest, he punches him because he wants to kiss his wife, and he says no. A groom flees on his wedding night, but then he comes back 6 months later saying he's been to, I think, Africa. He wants to take her to Africa, but they're always arguing with each other, and she goes off, and then he follows her, and then Walter Brennan follows her, and it's... Now, I'm not sure what this film was, to be honest. I wasn't keen on it. I liked Barbara Stanwyck. I liked Walter Brennan. I give it a 5. It didn't really didn't really do a great deal for me. Now that I watched, it's another Barbara Stanwyck film to cross off the list. So there's that. Then Kelly's Heroes with Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, who I think is the star of the show, Donald Sutherland, yeah baby, there he is, and Don Rickles, the only American stand-up comedian that makes me laugh, or made me laugh. Clint Eastwood puts this ragtag group of soldiers together to go and find some gold. So it's a treasure hunt. It's a gold hunt. Lots of action, lots of good stuff going on. I like it. I give it a 7, 1970. Also, Harry Dean Stanton popped up. So that's Kelly's Heroes. And I ended with a film I've seen before from 2009 called Invictus, based on a book. Now, I know that the South Africa Rugby Union side won the 1995 World Cup. I know that. Francois Pienaar lifted the World Cup. And it's when Nelson Mandela's out of prison, the end of the apartheid. I don't know how much around the World Cup is accurate to anything. Is it trying to be accurate to anything? I don't know. All I know is, to me, it's an uplifting story. It made me smile. It brought people in a country together. And when I finished it, I thought, you know what? I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10 because I liked it. I really liked watching it. I enjoyed it as it went on. It got better and got better. But Francois Pienaar, the South African captain, was played by Matt Damon. You heard right, Matt Damon as a South African with a South African accent. And Morgan Freeman playing Nelson Mandela. He can put on any accent that he wants, but when he speaks, he's Morgan Freeman. They're all the films I watched this week. No more James Bond films. If I watch one, I'll watch the other 24, and I don't want to do that again. So they're the films I watched this week. And we're back to do it all over again, with any luck, next week.